Hello, my name is Adam, and I am a veteran for Ron Paul, and I would like to express why I believe Ron Paul can be elected President of the United States in 2012. First of all, I am an Operation Enduring Freedom veteran. I was active duty in the Army and served in Afghanistan from May 2007 through August of 2008 with the 173rd Airborne Brigade Combat Team, 2nd 503rd Infantry Battalion. We were in the Pesh River Valley, the Kunar Province, which is the tribal mountainous region along the Pakistani border, the same region in which the Russians were pushed out of Afghanistan in the 1980s. For more information about my unit's deployment there, I would refer you to the documentary that was made about our deployment entitled Restrepo. I am currently supporting Ron Paul for president. I voted for him in 2008 in the primaries, and I plan to vote for him again in the Republican presidential primary in Tennessee on March 6th. I would invite you and implore you to do the same and vote for Ron Paul in your state's primary whenever and wherever it may be held. I believe that Ron Paul is not only the best choice, but he is the only real choice of candidates in the field that we currently have running for President of the United States. The only candidate who has a firm grasp of what really must be done to get our nation back on track, both with domestic policy and with foreign policy. I agree with Ron Paul on strong monetary policy. I believe that our nation's economy should be kept strong and that free markets should be allowed to rise and fall without bailouts. I believe in strong fiscal policy with balanced budgets and where people are allowed to make individual decisions and contracts with one another without interference from the government, where there is no violence and no fraud. I believe that Ron Paul is also correct as a pro-life champion, a gynecologist who delivered thousands of babies. What better pro-life candidate could there possibly be? Ron Paul's belief and support for our Second Amendment rights has been unwavering, both as a conservative and as a libertarian, and as a Republican. Ron Paul has firmly stood behind your right and my right to protect ourselves in this great country. Ron Paul is also a defender of liberty and understands that when America's civil liberties are under attack, that it is unconstitutional and that we must push back and secure once again the blessings of liberties to ourselves and to our posterity, just as our founding fathers implored us to do. I understand, as I believe that Ron Paul and Ron Paul supporters that I've met seem to understand, that our founding fathers gave us a republic, that they gave us ideas enshrined in the Constitution that were timeless ideas, not strict dogma that would bring our nation to an end, but ideas that would always be a guiding light for our future. Those ideas are the ideas of liberty. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, being able to dream your dreams and rise and fall on your own merits, having the liberty and freedom to make your own decisions and bearing the responsibilities of the decisions that you make. This all not only makes for a great people, it makes for a great nation. And I believe that those freedoms are under attack. Whether we elect Mitt Romney or John McCain or Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton or Rick Perry or somebody else who doesn't really seem to have a firm understanding of just what is really wrong with America today. I love my country. I have taken an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all of its enemies, foreign and domestic. I am still, though a medically retired veteran and now disabled veteran going back to college, I still stand for the Constitution, and I still believe in protecting it and defending it at all costs. This is the reason that I'm supporting Ron Paul. I believe that he can be elected President of the United States in 2012, and that foreign policy is not a problem for Ron Paul. I believe he actually has the correct idea about foreign policy. An idea that not only do we really need today, but we must embrace for our nation's future. No nation that continues to borrow 40% of its budget from China, Japan, and other foreign powers that do not have our best interests at heart can continue to believe that its national security is not at threat. We must become solvent at home, and we must have a strong, balanced budget and strong, vibrant economy before we can really be in a position to protect ourselves and to carry out any military operations throughout the world. We are currently spread too thin, and around 900 permanent military bases and thousands upon thousands of military stationed in peaceful nations all around the world. I do not believe that our founding fathers intended for us to build a fascist empire, but that is what we are quickly becoming. The corporatist powers in Washington are spending more and more money to fund the bank bailouts and the bailouts of the other crony capitalists that are destroying our currency. And they're continuing to fund foreign wars and conflicts that are not even in the national defense interests of Americans. How many of you have even heard of the LRA that we are now currently chasing in the African country of Uganda per the Obama administration's direction? How many of you really wanted us to go into Libya? How many of you really believe that there's any excuse for us to now be in Afghanistan as our longest war in American history? It should have never taken us this long to do our mission in Afghanistan. If you let the troops on the ground do what they have to do, we can mop this up and come home today. In truth, my friends, my fellow compatriots in the military who I've served with, and ones who are still in harm's way, have been used by the military-industrial corporatist powers that lurk in the halls of Washington, D.C. and in the Federal Reserve System. This must be changed, and it must be changed now. We must be brought back to solvency, and American interests abroad must be narrowed to the scope of national defense and not interference into other governments around the world, setting up puppet regimes and supporting tyranny around the world that makes us unpopular in other nations and makes us targets here at home for foreign and domestic terrorism. I am a peace-loving American, and I have had my fill of war. I have had my fill of paramilitary police power. I believe that our civil liberties as Americans, our Fourth Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, our First Amendment rights, our 10th Amendment rights, and all of our other rights, the Constitution itself, are currently being ignored by the government that is supposed to protect and defend it, uphold it, and perpetuate its ideas to secure the blessings of liberty to our posterity. I am voting for Ron Paul in 2012 because I believe he's the only candidate with the correct answer to the questions that are asked of our nation today. The questions of whether we will continue to be the greatest nation that has ever existed upon the face of this earth or not. Ron Paul will bring us back to solvency. He will bring us back to sanity, fiscally and monetarily, with our foreign policy and with our civil liberties. I believe that Ron Paul is a true patriot. He is a veteran a fellow veteran whom I respect greatly and appreciate his service to our country, both in the military and in the Congress. I would like to personally thank Ron Paul for giving some of us Americans hope that the Republic can be saved and that we do not have to give our country away to those who would subvert the Constitution. A vote for Ron Paul is a vote for the Constitution. Ron Paul can win because he has his own network, a network of people who have caused him to show up in the caucuses and polls around the nation in a consistent, strong, supportive showing. He has had to do this, and we have had to do this, in spite of the establishment Republican Party and not because of them. I am one of those Republicans who will not have Mitt Romney forced upon me as a Republican candidate and will not vote for him if he gets the Republican nomination for president. I will do just as I did in 2008. I will break from the Republican Party, and I will probably vote once again for the Libertarian Party candidate, whoever it may be, as I voted for Bob Barr in the last election. I implore the Republican Party to not force upon us Mitt Romney or some other establishment candidate, but let this populist candidate who believes in the ideas that the grassroots Republican Party believes in, and let us all nominate Ron Paul as our Republican candidate for president in 2012. We must have a stark contrast to Barack Obama. And if Mitt Romney or one of the other establishment Republicans is nominated as the Republican candidate for president, we will not have a choice between a Democrat and a Republican. We will have a choice between the current corporatist, socialist-style president that we have now, or a rhino, a Republican in name only, who will actually probably just be a light version of a liberal Democrat, such as Mitt Romney or Rick Perry. Let's nominate a true lover of liberty. Let's nominate someone who can bring this country back to its constitutional roots, who still believes in the ideas of freedom and liberty. The same liberty that I talk about on my radio show, The Language of Liberty, on blogtalkradio.com, as your host, Tatted Soldier. Please vote for Ron Paul for president in 2012. He is the correct choice. He can get the Republican establishment behind him if we get him nominated. Then we will not only have the Republican establishment, but we will also have the grassroots movement that has made Ron Paul's candidacy so strong to this point. We will truly be a force to be reckoned with. And as the left continues to fall apart in this country, and Barack Obama continues to lose support, there are others that Ron Paul is in a position to reach out to that other Republicans simply cannot reach out to. Those Democrats who believe in civil liberties, those Democrats who believe in peace and not war, those Democrats who still believe in the Constitution, and all independents, whatever your ideas are, we must all come home to the Constitution now. It is no longer about Republican versus Democrat. It is no longer about left versus right. It is now about tyranny versus freedom. And I speak the language of liberty. Don't tread on me.